in the next half hour, we've the Survivor's Guide to the Family. If your family bicker every time they get together or can't talk to each other at all, Peter Stratton's here to help. Now, you can talk to him by picking up the phone and ringing 061 814 0814.
And our reporter, Mary McKeever, is out on a shopping trip, buying party togs for the Hindu New Year.
Well, can't wait to have a look at those, eh?
And for those of you with a lunchtime shadow, when it's not even time for 11s, we've the results of our search for the closest of close shaves.
Now, today's busy preparations for the festival of Diwali may have been a reminder that another festival's not too far off. Christmas is only 10 weeks away. And even if you haven't even thought about buying presents, the chances are you'll be thinking about where to spend the festive season. For many people, that decision is fraught with problems. Will you annoy your son by going to your daughter's, or will you risk an argument with your wife by suggesting your parents should come to stay at your house? Well, family get-togethers tend to exacerbate the everyday tensions that simmer away for the rest of the year. Now, to take your calls about family tensions is family therapist Peter Stratton. Peter, do family gatherings really cause so many problems?
They do. They don't have to cause problems, I think, but the fact is they very often do. And there's no... so it's worth thinking about them in advance and trying to stop the problem.
Have you planned who and where you're going to spend Christmas?
Not yet.
Okay. Well, we have our first caller of the day about this subject. It's Angie Brown from Eastleigh in Hampshire. Angie, what's your question for Peter?
Well, for the last 3 Christmases, we've spent Christmas with my mother-in-law and their rather extended family. I wish to spend it with my family, but my husband has put his foot down and said no. There's quite a few other problems with my mother-in-law. She hates my guts. The feeling is mutual, I hasten to add. There's a house opposite her that is up for sale, and my husband wishes to move there. I've told him that I don't want to, and he says, but she can help with so many things. And I said, yes, take her straight to the divorce court. What can I do?
This is a very serious problem, and hatred is a very strong word to use. And clearly this isn't just a problem about Christmas. This is something that's been going on a long time. It's just a problem with families that when we get married or get into a relationship, we acquire a whole other family. There's nothing that says we have to like them, but often we have to live with them. I think I would suggest the first thing you have to do is to sort things out between you and your husband. Maybe he feels that because you feel so strongly and you express yourself so strongly, you might actually prevent him from having contact with his family. So maybe even trying to move opposite is a way he's using to try and stop him losing contact altogether. So I would think the first thing is to negotiate with your husband and find ways of sharing Christmas, maybe. Maybe you can go to both families for a shorter time. Maybe an answer is for him to go to his family and you to go to yours for a period over Christmas.
Could you do that, Angie? Do you think that's possible?
Well, the thing is, though, that would play right into her hands, because I was all right for a quick bonk when we were going out together, but...
No, Angie.
But for me to be a wife, I mean, I'm not exactly wife material. I'm 11 years younger than my husband. I mean, his ex-wife was not exactly a paragon of virtue, but, I mean, typical conversation.
Don't want to get us in the law courts here, Angie.
He's sitting there and he's going, she says to me, well, I could never fault her housework.
Well, listen, Angie, what we'll do, we'll leave you for now, and I do hope you manage to sort your problem out. Maybe that's a good idea, spending Christmas at your own families, and then the making up is even nicer at the end of it, isn't it, Angie? Right, now we're going to have Julie Green asking a question now. Julie, what's your question for Peter?
Well, I'm going to a wedding in 2 weeks. We haven't spoken to half of his family for over 3 years. It was all to do with my son's christening, and basically I'm just dreading it. You know, it's a sit-down meal, it's an all-day thing, and, you know, I mean, I'm going because it's my husband's family. But other than that, you know, I just feel awful about going.
Oh, there's nothing worse.
No, and it's so common that something which may not have been an enormous issue, you don't see the people, you don't talk about it, it builds up in your mind, and in 3 years it's grown into some tremendous thing. And maybe it isn't so significant, maybe it could be dealt with. What I would suggest is find if you can make some contact with them, you may find that you can actually talk to them and that it isn't such a big issue. So what about finding an excuse to ring someone up? What are they going to wear? Find some reason to phone them about the wedding. Just have a little bit of a chat beforehand. I bet you'd find, actually, that you can talk to them. And then the day won't be spoiled. It doesn't have to be dreaded. In fact, one of the great things about things like weddings is it forces family to come together again. And these things that have been stewing for ages, you find that there wasn't so much there necessarily.
Yeah.
So,
Julie Green from Birmingham, I wish you the best of luck. And that actually works, asking someone advice sometimes, doesn't it? It makes them feel good. Now, Anne from Stockport's got a question for you, Peter.
Okay.
What's your question, Anne?
Hello, yes.
Hi.
I've got a problem with my mum. Whenever we get together, she makes really nasty cutting remarks that really do hurt. And whenever I obviously get upset about them, she accuses me of being dim for not taking them as a joke. And in fact, when I tried to tackle her about this the other day on the phone, she actually accused me again of being dim for not taking them as a joke and put the phone down on me. I don't know how to get it across that these remarks are really hurting me.
She might be listening to people today, mightn't she?
Might be. And yes, these things do really hurt. I wonder why your mum feels it necessary to try and, maybe because you're not taking it as a joke, maybe it isn't really a joke to her. Maybe she is trying to say something. And maybe what you need to do, rather than saying, don't say these things, is to say, what is it you really want to tell me next time she says something like this? And then she'll have to come out with it, and then you can have it out in the open and see what it is. So just say, what are you really trying to tell me next time she says one of these things as if it was a joke? And see what she says.
Actually, that brings a point, Peter. Thanks for your call, Anne, by the way. Nice to hear from you. It brings me to a point that Mrs. Adathya, the lady in the film before with Judy, she said that the time of Diwali for them is a time to forgive and forget, which sounds a little bit like Anne was talking about, you know.
Yeah.
How possible is it really to forgive and forget if you put your mind to it?